Ciao, everyone, and welcome back to Bites of Italy.
We're Scotty and Natalie, and today we're in a city that completely surprised us. Elegant, a little mysterious, and wildly underrated.
That's right, we're in Turin.
When we first told people we were adding Turin to our Italy itinerary, the reactions were mixed.
Very mixed. But after spending time here walking under those endless porticos, sipping Barolo and Barbaresco, and eating all these Piedmontese delicacies, we knew we had to dedicate not just one, but multiple episodes to this city.
So today we're starting with 3 unforgettable places that show you the culinary heart of Turin. From a rustic family-run osteria to a French-influenced bistro and a bold modern kitchen that might just push you out of your comfort zone.
If you're planning a trip or just dreaming about one, grab a glass of Barolo and settle in. This is Bites of Italy episode 31, Turin Part 1.
I remember getting off the train at Porta Nuova and seeing these endless, elegant porticos, wide boulevards like those in Paris, and Baroque palaces everywhere. It felt royal.
Well, that's because it was royal. After all, Turin was the first capital of the United Italy. This is where the Savoy kings lived. So the city's DNA is sophistication, and that sophistication is reflected in its food.
It's definitely not tomato sauce and olive oil. It's butter, hazelnuts, breadsticks, red wine, and slow-cooked meat. This is serious food for a serious city. But the best part is that despite this serious reputation, the hospitality is simply incredibly warm.
And warm hospitality is one of the strengths of the first restaurant we recommend, Osteria Antiche Sere, which translates to ancient evenings.
The name alone sets a mood, doesn't it? But you don't just stumble on this place.
No, it's off the beaten path in the Cenisia district, located in the western part of the city. A vibrant post-industrial working-class neighborhood full of students from the Polytechnic University of Turin.
Yeah, this place was recommended to us by a friend who lives in Turin. We had some concerns about getting there by public transport from the city center. Ultimately, however, it was an easy walk and a short, comfortable metro ride. Definitely worth it.
Because you're trading convenience for authenticity, a real locals neighborhood usually holds the best food, and Antiche Sere is a true institution. It's been run by the Rota family for, over 3 decades now. It used to be an old wine bar, a place where guys would just come to drink and play cards.
It almost feels like stepping into a time capsule. We walked in and saw dark wood paneling, simple white tablecloths, and a handwritten menu.
And we were there for the first time in the summer, which was a real blessing because they led us straight to the back garden with the famous pergola. It was simply magical. You're no longer in the city. You're eating under a cascade of grape leaves.
Tell us about true family hospitality.
The restaurant is run by siblings. Antonella runs the dining room. Daniele is in the kitchen. They offer a very specific type of Italian service where they don't fawn over you but treat you like a long-lost nephew who's just returned home.
Totally. Now let's talk about the food.
The menu is short and handwritten in Italian, but when foreigners come in, the waitress explains the dishes in English. It typically includes a tasting of 5 appetizers daily, a choice of 4 first and second courses, and a selection of homemade desserts.
And we quickly learned that antipasti are mandatory. At Antiche Sere, they don't bring a plate. They bring a whole parade, and all for 16 euros.
The classic Piedmontese start. Let's break that down.
Okay, first Vitello Tonnato, cold sliced veal with a creamy tuna and caper sauce. It sounds strange if you haven't tried it yet. Meat and fish, but it's a staple in Piedmont, and it's truly delicious.
This was followed by raw salami, local Tomino cheese, a herb omelet, and finally peppers with anchovies. Plate after plate. I was already starting to feel full, and we hadn't even ordered our main courses.
And we had to try the Piedmontese Tajarin pasta. Of course, we've eaten fresh pasta in Italy, for example in Bologna, but this one was completely different. It had an intense, bright orange color.
There's a specific reason for this. Standard fresh pasta uses whole eggs, but in Turin, they traditionally use egg yolks, 30 per kilogram of flour. That's why it's so rich. Historically, it was a way to show off wealth and abundance. At Antiche Sere, this pasta has an incredible texture, and its flavor is simply unbelievably decadent. It's served with seasonal sauces like meat sauce, porcini sauce, asparagus sauce, and more.
It was delicious. But the dish that really stuck with me was the main course, the Osteria's summer specialty, Carpione, which we had never heard of before.
And it turned out to be a fascinating piece of culinary history.
Exactly. Carpione is a method of preservation. Before refrigerators, if you fried something, fish or meat, it would go bad in a day. But if you took that fried food and marinated it in vinegar, wine, onions, and sage, you could keep it stable for much longer.
It's like pickling.
Kind of. But you fry the ingredient first so it's more complex. It creates this amazing sweet and sour profile.
Like, for example, in Venice, where we tasted sarda and saor.
Yeah, but in Piedmont, not only fish but also meat is prepared this way, and seasonality is key. Carpione appears in May or June and just vanishes when the weather turns cold.
So Carpione is one of those no-frills dishes that emphasize seasonal ingredients and strive for a zero-mile food. And Antiche Sere apparently goes all in on this.
Absolutely. In summer, they serve marinated breaded veal cutlet with zucchini and a poached egg. It's a flavor bomb, perfect for the summer heat. And here, the zero mileage also applies to the wine list, which features exclusively Piedmont wines, starting with the excellent house wine, drunk in characteristic low glasses without stemware.
And for dessert, we also had the local specialty, Zabaglione, a velvety cream made with egg yolks, sugar, and sweet wine. Here, it's served with a cornmeal cookie. You can dip it in it. It is comfort food level 100.
Now, just a quick note for anyone listening who wants to go. You can't rely on technology here.
That is a great point. No website, no open table. They have a Facebook page they seem to barely touch. You have to physically call them on the telephone.
But it's worth it, believe us.
We've established the baseline. That's the rustic heart. Now, if you're enjoying Bites of Italy, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. It really helps the podcast grow.
You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram, where we share photos from our trips and daily life in Italy, culinary tips, and a few things that don't always make it into the episodes.
Let's move on to our second recommendation. This time we're heading to the San Salvario district. This is a massive gear shift, both in location and in attitude.
This area is interesting. It's right near the main train station, Porta Nuova. It used to be less than desirable.
It's a very polite way of putting it. It was rough, but in the last decade, it's pulled a classic gentrification move. Now, San Salvario thrives thanks to its artisan workshops, the market in Piazza Madama Cristina, and, above all, Parco del Valentino. And from a neighborhood best avoided at night, it has become a place worth visiting, especially at night, with multicultural spots where you can drink, eat, snack, and enjoy.
Right there, an octagonal street lined with houses and a parish church dating back to the second half of the 19th century, in the beautiful Largo Saluzzo, you'll find a restaurant called Scannabue. The name is a tribute to Giuseppe Baretti, whose name was given to the street where the restaurant is located. He was an 18th century literary critic who used the pen name Aristarco Scannabue.
The restaurant is housed in a renovated car showroom. That feels very Turin. Everything comes back to cars.
But you'd never guess it, as the interior resembles a 1920s Parisian bistro, but with posters transporting us to Turin and Piedmont. Inside, it features dark wood, brass details, green accents, and tables packed tightly together. There is also a lovely outdoor terrace from which to admire the vibrant surroundings, as well as a deli area where customers can stock up on excellent cheeses and other products.
Here, it's all about the energy of bistro. It's loud, it's fun, it's meant to be vibrant, and it feels very international.
It's a key element of Turin's identity. After all, it's only about 60 miles from the French border. For centuries, the royal Savoyard dynasty ruled on both sides of the mountains. So the food at Scannabue is a delightful blend of Italian ingredients and French techniques. You could see that on the menu right away.
There's an a la carte menu, but we opted for the tasting menu for under 40 euros, which is a real bargain.
Let's talk about the dishes. It all starts with the excellent Vitello Tonnato we mentioned earlier, and creamed codfish with potatoes, a dish from the Ligurian coast, which is close enough to Turin to influence the menu. But Scannabue elevates it. They added rosemary and cocoa dust on the top, transforming the simple dish into a true flavor bomb and adding an extra layer of elegance. It's that French Piedmontese sophistication.
Next came Agnolotti del Plin, tiny pasta pockets the size of a thumb, here filled with roasted meats, rabbit, pork, and veal. And unlike the olive oil sauces you get in the south, these stuffed pasta parcels were swimming in alpine butter. Again, the French influence is palpable. This dish is simply rich and velvety.
And for the main, we had veal cheek slow-cooked in Barbera wine, served with mashed potatoes, a textbook example of balance. The meat fell apart. No knife was needed. It could be eaten with a spoon.
And for dessert bunette, you can't leave Turin without trying it. It's an ancient pudding similar to a chocolate creme caramel, but with crushed amaretti cookies. It's a dark, sophisticated sweetness.
To accompany this delicious meal, we ordered a bottle of Barolo from Piedmont, which was excellent.
Their wine list is truly extensive. The restaurant claims to have over 800 labels, but the staff was super helpful, so we didn't feel intimidated at all.
Before we go any further, we should mention their midweek lunch menu where a dish with a glass of wine or dessert costs around 20 euros. This is truly excellent value for money, considering the variety and quality of the dishes, the service, and the fact that bread and breadsticks, cover charge coperto, and water are included.
I love these breadsticks or grissini torinese, and they're a must-have in a Piedmontese restaurant because Turin literally invented breadsticks, right?
Exactly. Legend has it that a baker in Turin invented crispy breadsticks in the 1600s for the heir to the throne Victor Amadeus II of Savoy, who couldn't digest soft bread.
Freshly prepared grissini are addictive, and the ones at Scannabue were super fresh and super delicious. So, a warning to anyone listening, try not to eat them all at once.
Good advice. But back to the restaurant. It's run by two friends, Paolo and Gigi, and their philosophy is striking. It's based on constant contact with producers and research into raw materials. They even have a vegetable garden.
They're also proud of their team, and rightly so, because the atmosphere is friendly and refined. I'd say Scannabue is the perfect place to feel at home, even during a special meal.
Now, let's head straight to the city center, near the Egyptian Museum, for something completely different. A contemporary innovator, Ristorante Consorzio. It has a cool kind of hipster vibe. Vintage furniture, bright posters. It looks friendly.
Yeah, the vibe is very friendly. But what really sets them apart is their selection of dishes you won't find anywhere else. Although the menu is a bit confronting, at least for an American who, grew up on chicken tenders and steaks.
Right. Consorzio is famous for championing the fifth quarter.
Can we unpack this for our listeners? Because I'm pretty sure there are only 4 quarters.
Correct. 4 quarters represent noble cuts of beef, like steaks and roasts. The fifth quarter is leftovers, such as offal and tripe. Historically, it was the food of the poor.
But Consorzio turns it into high-end gastronomy.
And that's the innovation. They take these poor ingredients and treat them with Michelin star technique. They don't hide them, they celebrate them. A prime example is ravioli di financiera filled with mixed offal, served with porcini mushrooms, sautéed in Marsala wine. It is just incredibly rich, savory, and deep. That's the magic of doing it right.
And if offal isn't your thing, there are plenty of other interesting options. Starting with a crunchy egg with Swiss chard fondue and bacon, or oxbone marrow with cod.
Or the famous risotto alla Bergese, a tribute to Nino Bergese, one of the fathers of modern Italian cuisine, called Chef of Kings and King of Chefs. It's a creamy Parmesan risotto but made with bone marrow and a dark brown stock. It's heavy, intense, and deeply satisfying.
And for dessert, try panna cotta, which means nothing else than cooked cream, a true Piedmont classic that shines of simplicity.
Finally, here's an interesting fact. At Consorzio, strong, bold dishes are served with bold organic and natural wines. These wines can be cloudy, they can be funky, which in a classic osteria would be almost sacrilegious. It's as if they were saying we respect the roots, but we'll drink what we want. It's rebellious, but it really works.
I love this. Now, let's take a look at these 3 very different restaurants. If our listeners are planning a trip, how do they even make a choice?
It's simple. You don't choose based on the best food. The food at each of these places is excellent, and they've all received numerous culinary awards. You choose based on where you want to travel in time.
How so?
Well, if you want to see the Turin of the past, the grandmother's kitchen, go to Osteria Antiche Sere. It's incredibly authentic, very local.
And it's the most budget-friendly of the 3. The prices are more than reasonable for the quality you're getting.
Totally agree. On the other hand, Scannabue restaurant is a present day. It's a global, sophisticated place where you go for a great meal that feels elegant but still relaxed. And importantly, they manage to keep prices accessible. It's a safe yet exciting option.
Which makes Consorzio restaurant the future.
Exactly. It's for foodies who want to be challenged, debate the wine list, and see how far you can push traditional ingredients. You might spend a few more euros there compared to the other 2. But between the creativity on the plate and that outstanding natural wine selection, it's absolutely worth it.
So wherever you fall on the budget spectrum, Turin really delivers. Now, practical advice for the listeners if they want to do this. What do they absolutely need to know?
Look ahead. Turin is not a secret anymore. You cannot just show up. Call Antiche Sere, book your place at Scannabue or Consorzio online at least a week in advance.
And don't worry if you don't speak Italian. Even at Rustic Antiche Sere, the staff speaks English. The other 2 restaurants have English menus, so there's no barrier there.
And on that positive note, we end today's episode. Thank you for joining us in Turin.
But we're not done yet.
Not even close. In our next episode, we're staying here because Turin has an entirely different side we haven't even touched yet.
Next time, we'll delve into Turin's wine bars, where you can drink incredible Piedmontese wines or cocktails and eat surprisingly refined, seriously delicious food.
And yes, we'll also be talking about pizza, because Turin does pizza differently, and perhaps some of it can rival those served further south.
Same city, but whole new flavor. Until then, grazie mille for listening.
And go find some good breadsticks. Ciao!